Check one. Get in the bag, you. Get in the bag. You are now a member of the Clinton Bate Bag. You are now a member of the Clinton Bate Bag. Get in the bag. Get in the bag, you. Get in the bag. Clinton Bate Bag. It's Clinton Bate Bag. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Mark Middleton reporting. How the hell are you, man? What's up, man? What's up, what's up, what's up, man? Oh, man. Chilling like Bob Dylan over here. Waiting for the stream to kick in. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to Thursday. Welcome to this Thursday, February 23rd in the year 2023. We made it. So, it's fascinating how interesting stories can get, right? There's a long-standing conspiracy theory on the internet about the Clinton body bag, the Clinton body count. Now, I'm not here to advance any theory on does Bill and Hillary Clinton kill people that they don't like, that's closely associated with them, maybe worked for them, maybe gave them a dirty look one day, maybe, I don't know, signed on a notorious pedophile onto a flight with Bill Clinton on it. I'm not here to advance any of that. But there is an interesting breaking story. Mark Middleton, who allegedly shot himself, killed himself by shotgun and hanging back in about 6 months ago, back in 2020. I think it was in the summertime. And according to the reports, there was no evidence, there was no statement of a gun being found on the premises. The allegation was that this guy, Mark Middleton, who was a chief, he was a very, very high ranking guy in the Bill Clinton administration, 1993 to 1995. And if you remember the story of Foster, what was his name, Mr. Foster? This story, hold on for this one, because this shit doesn't make sense. Right? If this is true, right? Why do all these dead people end up dead around a very, very powerful, couple like Bill and Hillary Clinton, who have been involved in incredibly nefarious activities over their lifetime? Right? Why did these bodies keep ending up? Seth Rich, for example. How did Seth Rich, a young man down there in Washington, D.C., he was working for the DNC to get Bernie Sanders promoted to president. He realized that he was being cheated, and all his customers, all the young people that he was reaching out to were all getting bamboozled. And then he took that file and he gave it over to Julian Assange at WikiLeaks, and everybody knew the dirt on the DNC and how they were colluding with MSNBC and CBS before it was, widely accepted that that's how elections occur in our country. And then he was Seth Rich was somehow shot in the streets of Washington, D.C., 2 bullets in the back, and there was never anyone apprehended in that killing. His family rolled over in such a way that was kind of mysterious. They were afraid that this conspiracy, quote, conspiracy theory would get out. So that's the story of Seth Rich. But fascinatingly, this Mark Middleton story that you're about to find out about, maybe for the first time, is even more staggering, because initially there was no gun reported, and then suddenly yesterday, the police come running to the rescue. I'm reading something. I'm sorry. I'm reading Jay Knoll. Good morning, everyone. Just to introduce myself. Hey, Jay. How are you, man? I've seen your name over at Lift the Veil. Anyway, but so this story is rather fascinating, and we're going to dive into it. That's all I got today on it. And I don't know if you're like me. I'm not completely sold on the Clinton body bag. I don't want to be on a record as saying, yeah, Clinton body bag. But people do end up dead for some reason surrounding anything, related to Bill or Hillary Clinton, and especially when it had a tie. Middleton let the allegation is that Mark Middleton signed Jeffrey Epstein into the White House 7 out of the 14 times that he had visited. Mark Middleton was a guest on the Lolita Express. He has flown to Epstein Island. He had close ties with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Ghislaine Maxwell now sitting in the can, convicted of sex trafficking young people. I don't know why Middleton would have. There's no. When you look into the story, there's no reason why this guy would have killed himself. They're pointing to depression and such. So buckle up for this one. Here's the man, the myth, the legend. That's Mark Middleton, and there's Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell schmoozing with Bill Clinton, 1993, 4, 5-ish. Middleton was the guy who signed them into the White House. He had the connection with Epstein, and suddenly he's dead by a very, very mysterious suicide, like many other people that get close to Bill and Hillary Clinton, it seems. So we're gonna look at that fascinating thing. Did I fall asleep? Are we locked? Are we locked? Are we strolling? Are we streaming? We streaming. Did Marcus fall asleep? I didn't fall asleep. Did I fall asleep, Jim? Jim asks, am I falling asleep? I'm reading the comments, so I don't know. I'm still awake. I'm still awake. So I have a website, and every morning at 9 a.m., we're live spinning the news or observing the news and digging into the news, finding out what's going on in our world as free citizens of a free society, trying to understand what it is going on in our world. And you don't need notification every morning at 9 a.m. Come on down. And you could also, getting a lot of attention, Tuesday evening Dharma gathering, where people with mental illness, I take that back, people trying to learn how to meditate maybe for the first time, and maybe they don't like what they're seeing. Come and join us in the chat, and you'll find out what I'm talking about. But every morning, every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m., we do this Dharma gathering, and it's an opportunity to experience mindfulness meditation for 90 days in a row, every day for 90 days. And so come on down. You don't need notification. You got the times right here. 9 a.m. every morning, like we are right now, and also Tuesday at 7 p.m. And hopefully we'll still be here after this report. This is one of the things you're not supposed to talk about or whatever. But look, it's a fascinating subject. You can't deny it. A guy allegedly shoots himself in the chest. This is like Kurt Cobain, a guy shoots himself in the chest. He digs a hole and/or stands on a table with a noose around his neck in a on property that he wasn't even allowed to be on or shouldn't have been on or didn't even know about. It reeks of nefarious activity. So that's why we have to talk about it. We got to keep everybody honest, So again, let's start here. Joe Biden, the elderly president, 80 years old, stumbles up the stairs. Air Force One, let's see it, Joe. Come on, give it to us, Joe. Come on, Trippy Joe. 1, 2. Oh, there he goes. Up. Oops, I fell. I'm sorry. Did I fall? What? Oh, Joe. There's Joe Biden doing a nosedive. Hey, Joe. Hey, listen, man. I guess everybody falls once in a while, you know. If you have a camera on you all the time, someone's going to catch you falling. But, it's like, what? I didn't fall. Oh, shit, this shit's going to be on the news. Let's watch again, because it's fun. It's fun. No, I think they're going to slow it down. So again, Joe Biden boarding Air Force One. He was coming out of Germany, Poland, excuse me. And he trips on his face. Funny, right? It's funny stuff, man. Thank you, Joe Biden, for the entertainment this morning. What else we got? So let's jump right in. Without further ado. Thank you, everybody in the chat, for joining me. Jim Gerard is in the house. TJ, Weevil Girl is here. Cass Philly Camden. Vinny DiMartini. Mikkel Sly in the house. Good morning. And who else? Jay Knoll is here. And everybody else who's lurking, to all the LARPers lurking, the lurking LARPers who want to be heard. It seems like they all came out. All the LARPers came out on Tuesday evening to protest the meditation. They were there and they were vocal and they wanted to be heard. Maybe we were talking about their own psychoses. And but anyway, it was a fascinating event. Thank you, everybody, for being here. So let's dive right in. So, death of shot Clinton aide with Epstein ties, found tied to tree, ruled suicide despite no gun at scene. All right, now let's break down the headline. It says that the guy was found dead despite no gun at scene. Look at the date. Look at the reporting date, February 22. That was yesterday. As of yesterday, a gun was never reported to have been at the scene. Right? Just keep that in mind, right? No gun. That's what we know. How does a guy kill himself and there's no gun? Now, he shoots himself in a shotgun in the chest. Where's the gun? Right? But at the scene, when it happened, there was never a report of a gun. And that's the biggest part of the story, in my view. There wasn't a gun until yesterday. Now a gun suddenly appears. So it doesn't make sense. Right? So the mysterious death of an aide of President Bill Clinton with ties to Jeffrey Epstein has been officially ruled as a suicide, despite there being no sign of a weapon near the body. No. How do you kill yourself by shotgun blast with no weapon? Impossible. Somebody has to do it. Obviously. Mark Middleton, 59, find out who he is, served in the Clinton White House in the 1990s, was found dead on Hoffer Ranch in Perryville, Arkansas on May 2nd of 2020. So we're almost about a year away from the event. But why only yesterday did we find out that a gun was they found a gun? Such bullshit, right? Almost 1 year after Middleton's death, a police report obtained by the outlet this week revealed that the Little Rock businessman was discovered with a gunshot wound to the chest and an extension cord tying his neck to a tree. I could see the mail was... So let's... there's a report. Here's the report. So this was released yesterday. Right? This is what we knew. Right? Look at the date. May 7, 2020. Right? Now, just go along with the story for a second. So at approximately 1 p.m., I responded. This is the sheriff, deputy sheriff, whatever. I responded to Hoffer Ranch for an abandoned vehicle. Upon my arrival, I met with Samantha McElray, who called dispatch. While looking at the vehicle, Samantha requested that I make contact with dispatch to call for a wrecker, as she was unfamiliar with any towing complaints in the area. Okay, so they show up, and the report is there's an abandoned car. Can you get this car off my property? Hold on a second. Right. There's a car on my abandoned car on my property. Please get the car. And so the deputies show up. Deputy Brewer arrived on scene, and shortly after, Blessed Towing arrived as well. So they're all standing around. They got a tow truck. I turned over the vehicle to Blessed for removal. While attempting to locate a pull joint for the vehicle, Samantha stated that she was going to walk around the cottage that the vehicle was parked in front of. Almost immediately after stepping around the corner of the cottage, she started yelling for myself and Deputy Brewer to come with her. Upon reaching her in the back of the cottage, she pointed towards the rear of the property, asked if that was a person. I could see that it was a person sitting by a tree. As my eyes focused better, I could see a rope of some type going from the tree limb to the male. Deputy Brewer and I walked out to where the male was seated. As we were approaching him, I could see the male was obviously deceased. I could see that he had a gunshot wound to the chest and that he had a knot tied in an extension cord that was around his neck, and it was attached to the limb directly above him. So the guy's laying there with a gunshot wound in his chest and a noose around his neck, right? Dead. At this point, I secured the scene and made contact with dispatch. I turned over the scene to the chief deputy, whoever. Returning to the vehicle, here's where it gets a little interesting. Returning to the vehicle, I began an inventory search. And upon searching the vehicle, I was able to locate the purchase agreement that had Mark E. Middleton's name on it. Okay, so it was his car. There were a few other items located in the vehicle. I opened the trunk lid and located a gun case that had 3 boxes of ammo, but no weapon. Right? Ammo, there's a gun case, buckshot, and no weapon in the box. Okay? That's what was reported. I was able to ascertain that Mark Middleton had something to do with the Middleton Air Heating and Air Conditioning Company that he owned. I called the company, was unsuccessful. We allowed Blessed Towing to leave with the vehicle, and I went back into service. Okay, so where is the gun? Is there, as of May, am I wrong to say that's a hell of a detail to leave out of a police report? You didn't find a gun? Right? You're saying that there was no gun in the case. Right? Well, where was the gun? Did you find a gun on the floor? Right? There's no report. Right? That's why media is jumping. Assume that there was no gun. Right? It's a great way to confuse the issue, right? There was no gun. We didn't find a gun. Oh, no, we found the gun. We just forgot to tell you about it. Right? Amazing, right? Amazing. So Mark Middleton served Bill Clinton in the 90s, was found dead on Hoffer Ranch. Almost 1 year after Middleton's death, a police report obtained by the outlet revealed that the Little Rock businessman was discovered with a gunshot wound to the chest, extension cord. That's who he is, right? We're just going to skim through the details of it. But that's a big detail to me. Initially, there was no report of a gun, right? Even up to yesterday, the Holy New York Post and the Daily Mail in England also reported that there was no gun at the scene. No gun. Right? And then mysteriously, gun was found near the body of Clinton aide linked to Jeffrey Epstein. And that's yesterday. Excuse me, today. That was 8 o'clock this morning, from out of nowhere, a gun was found. Right? There's the gun. Right? A Stoger 12-gauge coach gun was found on the ground 30 feet from Middleton's body. Right? For the first time, we hear that. Right? So let's just keep going. Let's keep going through the details. Right? So fascinating report. In the report, there was nothing of the sort that said that a gun was found. How do you rule something a suicide if there's no gun there? Guy's got a gunshot, a bullet in his chest, blew his back off, literally. Had no back. Right? He had a hole in his chest and no back. And you're telling me he did that himself? All right, well, where's the gun? It's just a hell of a detail to overlook. The release of the official report comes after Middleton's family, which includes his wife and 2 young daughters, petitioned the judge over concerns about the gory photos and videos of the scene being made public. Really? Really? A family is worried about the gory pictures? Who's worried about the pictures of the scene? Maybe the people who covered it up? Right? If you have pictures of a murder scene or a suicide scene, you would see the gun. You'd be like, oh, there's the gun. There's the bullet casing. There's the noose. There's the body. There's the hole. You see it all. Right? Why would a family not want that to be put out there? Well, that seems to be an ongoing revelation, too. All the families of these alleged Clinton body bag people seem to all, their families all seem to have the same story. Whether it's governmental pressure, somebody approaches them, some guy in a black suit says, look, man, you got to say that this was a suicide by, whatever, right? Vince Foster, right? Vince Foster, people in the chat are saying. We'll talk about him in a second. He's definitely in the mix. So in the months since the death, internet conspiracy theorists had tried to tie Middleton to the Clinton body count, or the right-wing theory that Bill and Hillary have swaths of their political opponents killed. Right? Now, I'm no right-wing person. I'm no conspiracy theorist by any means of the definition. I'm just looking at the fact. This guy right here, name is Jeffrey Epstein, and the woman next to him are notorious sex traffickers, according to the reports, pedophiles. And this gentleman right here, the former president of the United States, Bill Clinton, is directly connected to him. And everyone in between him and Jeffrey Epstein, including Jeffrey Epstein himself, ends up dead. Right? Those are the facts. That's the evidence on the ground. That's not conspiracy theory at all. Right? That's not a conspiracy theory at all. You remember when Seth Rich's family, oh, no, we can't talk about this because they never found the killer to Seth Rich, the kid who got shot in the back in Washington, D.C. for flipping the DNC files over to Julian Assange. The family was acted the same way. It was like they were scared that the story was going to get consumed by conspiracy theorists who wanted to find out the facts. Ask yourself the question, if your son or daughter or loved one got shot in the street in Washington, D.C., 2 bullets in the back, wouldn't you want the whole world to know how it happened? Why would you want that story to go away? Why would you want that story to go away? Unless you were under enormous amount of pressure to do so. That's why you would do that. You got the suits at the door saying, You don't understand what's happening here. This is national security, and Seth Rich, this story is conspiratorial against the United States of America. It makes us look bad. Therefore, if you talk about it, you're a conspiracy theorist and a domestic terrorist, and we can't have this. And then the story goes away. Right? Many people reported on the Seth Rich story. Many people, But anyway, so let's continue. This is big. Mark Middleton, there was no gun, and now suddenly, from out of nowhere, a gun fell from out of nowhere. In the months since his death, back to Mark Middleton, internet conspiracy theorist, the bizarre hypothesis first gained traction in part following the unexpected suicide of then White House counselor Vince Foster in 1993. Now, there was no, it wasn't the Vincent Foster situation, as I recall it, wasn't as graphic as this suicide we're talking about, or Seth Rich. All right, so the body count truthers. So you can see the smear campaign, right? Just to talk about the subject is to be labeled a body count truther. You see how thick the protection is? That's what causes the conspiracy theory. Why are you so protective of a story about a guy who allegedly shoots himself in the chest and there's no gun reported, right? And it turns out that he was an advisor to Bill Clinton and signed Jeffrey Epstein into the White House, I don't know how many times, 14 times. Right. It doesn't make sense. Even Donald Trump famously tweeted a message accusing Clintons of orchestrating Epstein's death to mask their own alleged dealings with sex fiends. So, former President of the United States, Donald Trump, kind of agrees with this body count hypothesis that the Clintons are so nefarious that they just whack fucking people. You know what I mean? So anyway, Arkansas cops rule suicide in death of Clinton aide linked to Jeffrey Epstein was found shot and tied to a tree with an electrical cord around his neck, despite no sign of weapon. Daily Mail reporting yesterday. Let me repeat that. No sign of weapon. No sign of weapon. All right. The grisly scene where a top Bill Clinton advisor was found hanged from a tree with a gunshot wound to his chest has finally been revealed 9 months after the death. But the sheriff's report in Mark Middleton's mysterious death raised more questions than anything. Middleton was found dead in May at Hoffer Ranch in Perryville, Arkansas, about an hour west of Little Rock. As I said, members of his family petitioned the judge to keep the gory scene non-public. I would speculate that was pressure from law enforcement to do that. I don't see another reason why, other than being pumped with the idea that, oh, he'll be labeled he was killed by the Clintons, and that's what you'll have to live with for the rest of your life. So promote the lie that it was suicide. That's how a thinking mind would think. That's not conspiracy theory. Bill Clinton's special advisor, Mark Middleton, who signed Jeffrey Epstein into the White House several times, killed himself in May 2020. There's the infamous handshake. There's Bill and Jeffrey Epstein with Jocelyn Maxwell drooling. Bill, we know you like little boys and girls. Middleton was Bill Clinton's special advisor who admitted Jeffrey Epstein to the White House on 7, now I got the details right, 7 of at least 17 times the late pedophile visited Epstein. Jocelyn Maxwell and Clinton are seen in 1993 at the White House. So 7 of 17 times, Mark Middleton was the connection to Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton, right? And maybe more so. Maybe he was the full connection to Jeffrey Epstein. We don't know. Right? And we'll never know because Epstein's dead and no one's going to listen to Ghislaine Maxwell anymore because she's a convicted pedophile sitting in jail and nobody wants to hear from her anymore. Nobody of any authority is listening to her. The report written by Perry County Sheriff Deputy Jeremy Lawson says he was called to the ranch by worker Samantha Elroy, who had found Middleton's abandoned car. So we read through that report. And upon reaching the back of the cottage, she pointed towards the rear property. We know all this. Why was Mark Middleton on the Hoffer Ranch, 1 hour away from Little Rock, Arkansas? Why was he there? Well, it turns out that there's no connection at all to Mark Middleton and the Hoffer Ranch in Perryville, 30 miles away from his home. Why was he there? Why did he choose some little nonprofit in the middle of nowhere to go and shoot himself in the chest and there's no gun? It doesn't make sense. So these are all the people that Bill and Hillary Clinton allegedly whacked. I'm sorry. These are the people that, how many times Jeffrey Epstein visited the White House? Right? 17 times from 1993 all the way to 1995. Middleton was a special advisor to Bill Clinton in the 1990s, signed Jeffrey Epstein into the White House on 7 of the 17 times. The Daily Mail concludes, Middleton also flew on Epstein's jet nicknamed Lolita Express. More recently, he had been working for his family HVAC business in Little Rock. White House visitor logs previously reported by Daily Mail show that he appears as the authorizing signator of 7 of Epstein's White House visits. So that seems to be confirmed too. This is the chief of staff, McLarty. Middleton, I believe, worked for him, under him or with him, whatever. There is Middleton flew on Epstein's plane and appears to have acted as a conduit between Clinton and Epstein. There you go. There's the report again. That was the previous report. No gun in the scene. I'm going to read the report on how the gun mysteriously pops up. Right? In 1996, an investigation by White House found that Middleton had abused his access to impress business clients and was barred from the executive mansion without senior approval. So that indicates that in 96, some sort of falling out happened between Bill and Mark. Middleton denies the claims that there was any tension. A number of Clinton's former associates have died over the years. Right. So regardless if they had a falling out or not, the guy got whacked last year, right? And what's new since then? Bill Clinton is still heavily implicated in the Jeffrey Epstein debacle, right? But Mark Middleton ends up dead. His a very, very tight connection to Bill Clinton and the Epstein problem, right? So the Epstein problem. It's a problem here too on YouTube. I'm threading on thin water. Excuse me, bots, the bots that are listening to the program. This is not conspiracy theory. Understand what you're listening to. You're listening to a regurgitation of facts, evidence in the case, and we look at the evidence, and then people make up their own mind, right? Every theory starts out as a conspiracy. But when you have no gun for a whole year, and suddenly from out of nowhere, a gun appears, you advance the, you're advancing the hypothesis that he was murdered and not, he didn't kill himself. Somebody killed him. Somebody killed him. He didn't kill himself. Somebody killed him if there's a gunshot wound in his chest and there's no gun anywhere to be found. One would, even a 5-year-old would say, Daddy, how does a man kill himself without a gun? Right? You don't have to be older than 5 years old to figure that one out. His 1993 death was ruled a suicide, but sparked a slew. They're talking about Vince Foster. So here it is, right? Let's talk about the gun, and we'll get that out of the way. Shotgun was found. This is reported yesterday. Yesterday. All this time later. Shotgun was found near the body of Clinton aide linked to Jeffrey Epstein. He texted wife, found the perfect place for a nap before blasting his chest and falling from bench with electrical cord tied around his neck. A shotgun was found near the body of the Clinton White House aide who killed himself on a ranch in Arkansas, a local sheriff is now saying. And more details of how cops now believe Mark Middleton killed himself have been released. Papers released earlier by Perry County Sheriff Scott Montgomery said deputies who were called to the Hoffner Ranch an hour west of Little Rock after an abandoned SUV was found, there specifically said there was no gun in the car. All right, that's what the report says, and that's, I guess, accurate. Why would there be a gun in the car? The gun would be on the floor in front of the perpetrator, right? The gun would be on the floor in front of the guy who just pointed it at his chest and pulled the trigger. So, agree. There was no gun found in the gun case in the box. But why do you go and see a man with a noose around his neck, a giant gaping hole in his chest, and you don't mention that there's a fucking gun on the ground or a casing or anything like that? Very, very suspicious. And why did you wait a whole year when reporting was going on and on about no gun? Why didn't you just go to the press and say, oh, no, there is a gun. Of course there's a gun. It wasn't in the initial report. Why did you wait to the last minute to report it? But now a further set of papers has been released to the Daily Mail, says a weapon, a Stoger 12-gauge coach gun, was found on the ground 30 feet from Middleton's body. Right? For the first time, we're now hearing a gun, a shotgun, was found on the ground 30 feet in front of the body. There's a picture of what the gun might look like. In the newspapers, gives details, explanation of how he believes Middleton, the chief sergeant, whoever, the top guy on the payroll there, an aide who signed pedophile Jeffrey Epstein into the White House several times during the Bill Clinton's presidency, took great lengths to ensure his suicide bid was successful, killed himself after writing a text to his wife saying he had found the perfect place for a nap in the sun. Well, it's a hell of a time to report it a year later. All right. So we know that he tied the electrical cord around his neck. That was in the initial report. None of this business of texting his wife was ever reported until now. That's fine. Who cares about that? So here's the top cop speculating on how Middleton killed himself. It is believed that Mr. Middleton then took the firearm and placed the barrels against his chest and then reached out with his left hand, placed his finger on the first trigger. It is then believed that Middleton pulled the trigger on the firearm casing, causing it to discharge and strike him in the chest. And then he fell from the bench, causing the extension cord to become tight, cutting off his breathing. Really. Carter said it is reported that the gun landed so far from Middleton's body due to the recoil from the discharge and the height and angle of the ground. Could anybody confirm that knows guns? Can anybody in the audience confirm that a shotgun pulled, if you held a shotgun and you pulled the trigger, does it land 30 feet away? 30 feet. That's 10 yards, right? That's a 10-yard line, right? Is it possible? Does a gun travel 30 feet? That's now the official report. What, tomorrow we're going to find out it fell 5 feet? I never heard of a gun traveling 30 feet from being pulled. And again, it was never reported, any of this. Right. Justin Falzone says, then he moved the gun 30 feet. Right, the dead guy got up and he moved the gun 30 feet. Carter said in his report that the gun landed so far. So impossible, right? It seems impossible. Conclusion, State Lab concludes shotgun wound of chest and hanging. Manner of death, suicide, says the chief coroner. This officer didn't find any evidence to indicate that there was anyone else present with Mr. Middleton at this scene or any evidence that there was any type of struggle. Total bullshit. Bullshit. Middleton's body was discovered shortly after 1 p.m. We know that there was no negative toxicology. He wasn't on drugs. The family claims he might have been suffering from mild depression. I ran towards her, and that's the report, the initial report. But so here we go. We got a new study, a new guy from out of nowhere. Some top cop is coming out saying that we found the gun, and this is what it looks like, and F you if you didn't know that that's what we knew, right? And the story goes away. Right? Story goes away. We got the gun. Right? So there it is. So what else? Arkansas cops rule suicide in death of Clinton aide linked to Jeffrey Epstein. All right, so now that they got the gun, they say they got a gun. The guy, oh yeah, we got the gun. The gun was 30 feet away. You missed it. It flew. The gun grew wings and flew 30 feet, 10 yards. 10 yards. Try it. People that know guns, try. You tell me if a gun can travel 30 feet. Maybe it can. I don't know. It just sounds like I've never heard of someone shooting themselves and the gun ends up so far away. Right? If you're holding a gun and you pull a trigger, maybe 3 feet, maybe 4 feet, but 30 feet away? Nah, I'm not buying that. The grisly scene where a top Bill Clinton advisor was found hanged from a tree with a gunshot wound to his chest has finally been revealed 9 months after he died. 9 months later. 9 months later, right? Middleton was found dead last May at Hoffa Ranch. Again, family members are worried that the images of the gory scene would be bad, right? Would be bad for them and for Mark, who got shot in the chest and hung himself. Why not? Why can't we see the scenes? 30 feet away. I'm going to go outside and I'm going to play around with 30 feet today. When I go outside, I'm going to count off 30 feet. That's a long way. You know what? I got a hose. My hose is 50 feet. I'm going to take 20 feet off my hose. I'm going to stretch out my hose, my garden hose. It's still outside. I hope it's not frozen. And see if that's even possible. Right now, I don't play with guns, so I don't know. I don't know about guns. I don't like guns. I don't like seeing them. I don't like touching them. What just happened here? What happened? but it doesn't make sense that a gun can grow legs and fly. So family of Bill Clinton advisor, what's happening here? What is happening here? What is happening to my stream? That's not the story. So let's go back one step. Go back one step. I just lost the story I was talking about. Oh, yeah. Family of Bill Clinton advisor who admitted Jeffrey Epstein into the White House 7 times blocked release of files detailing the death scene after he was found hanging from a tree with a gunshot blast at a ranch 30 miles. Well, that's interesting. 30 miles from his home. The gun was 30 feet away from the body. You know, numerology people, 30, what's the significance of 30? What's the significance of 3? I don't know, but it keeps popping up. 30 miles away from the home. The gun was 30 feet away. The family of top advisor Bill Clinton, who admitted, I'm sorry if I'm reading the same things over and over again, because as a lot of it repeats, but when you look through each one of the articles, you find out little details more about the situation. A little bit. Without reading specifically, it does say that the people at the Hoffa Ranch, Hoffa Ranch, which is owned by an anti-poverty nonprofit called Hoffa International, 30 miles from Mark Middleton's house, had no relationship whatsoever with Mark Middleton, the guy who allegedly shot himself, the body bag guy. No connection. Why was he there? Why would he have picked a place like this to kill himself? That in itself doesn't make sense at all. And it doesn't make sense. I'm just gonna, pull over and shoot myself at a nonprofit. Yeah, that's a very humane thing to do. The body was found shortly afterwards. Self-inflicted gunshot wound. This is a document from the family requesting, please, pretty please with sugar, don't release the photos of our darling Mark Middleton, who and the hole in his body. So that's the details of the story. I think I got it all out. But here, let's look at, if you care to, the Clinton associates who have died mysteriously. And there's a lot of them. Let's look. Judy Gibbs, 32 years old, was a hooker in Arkansas, a supermodel, dead. There was Kevin Ives and Dan Henry, the 2 kids that allegedly fell asleep on the tracks. It turns out that they were involved in some kind of murder plot, a smuggling gun murder plot with Bill Clinton, and on and on and on. Victor Reyes, there was Paul Tully in 1992. There's Paula Gauber in 92. And let's not forget that JFK Jr.'s plane in 1999 went down, took a nosedive, when he was running for New York Senator against who? Hillary effing Clinton. Remember that story? John F. Kennedy Jr.'s plane did a nosedive in the middle of nowhere while he was running for senator, and suddenly, because JFK Jr. was out of the way, Hillary Clinton became the next senator from New York. You remember that story? His name isn't even mentioned in the mix. There was Vince Foster in 1993. There was Stanley Hurd in 93. Jerry Parks. Now, I know there's a lot of people, if you're watching this video, don't shit on my head yet. I don't know all of the details of this very, very gory, interesting body count theory. Right? All right, so I don't know all the details like some of you may know, so be patient with me. But what I am telling you is that the Mark Middleton story doesn't add up. All right? It doesn't add up. Why? That doesn't happen. How do you miss a detail that the gun is on the floor of a guy who just shot himself in the fucking chest? And now, and now out of nowhere, you're saying a gun appears? No, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. I don't buy it. I don't care. I don't care. You can. JJ Wolf says, what it also 30 years since he worked for the Clintons. The 30, yeah. 33 in the club, Jim Gerard says. 33 in government. Yeah, 30s. Number 30. The Clintons fundraiser, 1993 was 30 years ago. 30 years ago. How about that? It was 30 years ago that Vince Foster was killed. 1993, 03, 13. Look at that, man. We're on the 30-year anniversary of Vince Foster being, Arkansas, whatever, killed by somebody, right? Very close to the Clintons. 30 years ago, gun found 30 feet away from the body, and the last guy who got killed lived 30 miles away from where he allegedly killed himself. So Ron Brown, you remember Ron Brown? One of the funniest one was this guy. You remember this guy? John Ash. This happened recently, 2016. John Ash was a politician, and he was doing weights. He was visiting the UN, where he was expected to he was expected to be a witness in a trial against Clintons. Let me read his bio, and it makes sense. The Antiguan politician was pumping iron at his home in Dobbs Ferry, New York, when he dropped the weight on his neck. He died from traumatic asphyxiation. Ash was about to stand trial in a corruption case for allegedly receiving $500,000 from billionaire developer Neg Lap Singh. Neg was involved in a fundraising scandal and named in the 1998 Senate report for illegally funneling hundreds of thousands of dollars to the DNC during the Bill Clinton presidency. During the trial, the prosecutors would have linked Ash to the Clinton bagman Neg. It would have been very embarrassing. His death was conveniently timed, the New York Post reported. Now, I remember that one. That was like, wait, this guy's gonna testify against the Clintons and the DNC, and a dumbbell breaks his neck while he's working out in his house? Unbelievable. Then there was Seth Rich, of course, in 2016. Gunned down. We all know this story because we all followed it. Gunned down in D.C. Where's the 30? Let's look for 30. Any 30s here? Well, Seth Rich was 27. Let's keep plugging around for 30. 21, 3, 6, 9. I don't see any 30s there. He was about to be 30. So there's Seth Rich, there's Joe Montano, Victor Thorne. Remember, and also Sean Lucas. You remember Sean Lucas? He died on his floor in his bathroom with allegedly a drug, got shot up with drugs. 3 different wild, wacky heroin derivatives shot into Sean Lucas, who never did drugs, a Bernie supporter. Remember that? He served the papers on Debbie Wasserman Schultz. He was friends with Seth Rich. He got whacked too. And then, of course, Jeffrey Epstein himself. Jeffrey Epstein himself right there. So there you go. I don't know what else to say about it, but definitely looks like it. So let's do a survey. Survey says this is a public program of people who enjoy public discourse. In the chat, one is suicide, and 2 is murder, and 3 is body bag. Which one is it? Which one is it? Is it suicide, spelled with a C? Is it murder by somebody else, or is it the body bag? The body bag did it. Which one did it? Which one did it? Most are saying 2, Tetragrammaton Ghost 2, TJ 2, definitely. Wrap up like a deuce. All right, most people are saying it's 2, obviously, but what about 3? Nobody thinks it's the body bag, or we're not allowed to say that. But either way, I'm not going to go there either. I'm not going to go there. I'm going to just say it does look like murder, unequivocally. And if you have murder, right? If you have murder, then you have, and this is again to the bots that are watching, and YouTube itself. This is not conspiracy. This is people reviewing evidence in a case, and then going on the record saying, "Yeah, this is what we think." Chris Milk says it's a 3. Chris Milk says body bagger. Vinny DiMartini is a 2. So there you go, man. So thank you all for joining me. And I don't know, man. It's a crazy time we live in. It's crazy. Excuse me. It's a crazy time we live in. And, politics are fucking dangerous, man. You wonder, you say to yourself, a lot of people said to themselves, why did Bernie Sanders roll over so quickly when the Clintons cheated him in 2016? Why? Maybe he knew something. They took away his top security, his Secret Service security. Remember when Bernie in 2016, he was getting so popular? He had Secret Service all around him. And then he wasn't so popular, and they pulled away his Secret Service protection. And suddenly he was like, yes, Hillary. He bowed to Hillary Clinton, right? Why? I don't know. Maybe he knows something. Maybe he knows something that we don't, that we're not capable of understanding. So thank you all for joining me. And again, I'm putting it out there. Anybody who could determine or confirm that a shotgun can fly 30 feet, firing it backwards, pointing it at yourself and shooting it out, is that possible? I don't think so. Peace, everybody.